What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. This is just the update video. So, well, there is work going on. It's going to be boring work. I've got another bandsaw blade turned up. Well, I've got a couple, just because the one that's in here is done. Well, there aren't any teeth on it anymore. It's the only trouble with cutting stainless. And it can go from cutting quite happy, and then the blade just goes blunt, even though you've been pouring, cutting oil and stuff on it, and that's it. It's just not happening at all. Ugh. You need a bit of a blowout, don't you? So yeah, I figured whilst I'm doing all this sort of stuff, because I've got the lathe to sort out as well, we'll have a yap and I'll tell you what's going on. Where's my airline? Gets a blowout once a year if it needs it or not. Right, so what's going on with the bike? The bike is actually going really well. I'm quite happy with stuff at the minute. Oh, hello. We've got I'm covered in chips. He's done. He's properly done. Right, so I'm quite happy with the bike at the minute. It's all going quite well. I've got a plan, I know what I'm doing, which is all good. We've got the exhaust all tacked up together, and he's looking all right, so you would have seen that in the last video. So now I've just got to weld it up, which I'm going to do after I've had a little bit of a spritz up and serviced a couple of things, like the lathe. He's in a proper 2 and 8 at the minute, he really is. He's covered in all sorts because I've been doing other little jobs. Oh, I hate this bit. You try and unwind these and they just go boing. Thing is, it's a blade, it will take your head off, won't it? There. Why do it like that? Ow. There we go. Which way round do you go? That way. I have put these on the wrong way before. But yeah, the bike's all going well. So, we do have a little bit of news. The switch gear that I ordered. Don't do that. Right, the switch gear that I ordered, I phoned them up and went, yeah, go on, where is it then? And they go, oh, we haven't sent it. Why haven't you sent it then? Well, the order got cancelled. Well, I didn't cancel the order. So, why did you cancel the order? I'm not really sure, I'm new. I think they just pressed the wrong button. So I've had to order them again. Oh, come on. Just go on. Stop being silly. I hate this thing with a passion. So I've had to order them again, which is fine. I don't really mind. It's not like I'm desperate for them right now, but I do want to get all the electrics hooked up. Just make sure everything's working as it should. Come on. And it's just it's another job ticked off the list then, isn't it? You're just going to be a complete cock. So there's that. Then this morning I went down and saw Crispy and I picked up the jets. So I've got some 110 jets. Currently, well, the last time we ran it up on the dyno, it had 114s in it. But we've gone for 110s just because I kept on looking at the dyno sheet. And it's lean from 3.5 to 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some smaller jets in it, but raise the needles up, just to try and sort the fueling out. I don't care about power. I've always said that, but it's got to be fueled right and it's got to run okay, and it's got to be a safe tune on the engine. So I reckon that is going to put us pretty bloody close. I was chatting with Crispy because I was thinking we'll just go up with, just for now. We'll go up like 1 notch on the needles, and he's like, no, I'll go 2. Looking at it and thinking about it, I'd go 2. So I thought, oh, okay. So that's what I'm doing. So once I've got the exhaust welded up, which is my next job, are you in? I think you're in. Please don't bogging out. So yeah, once I've got the exhaust welded up, which ain't going to take me long, then I'm having the carbs apart, hopefully for the last time. twang. That's how you decide if it's tight enough. Well, that's how I decide if it's tight enough. So yeah, we're going to have the carbs apart, hopefully for the last time. Put the 110 main jets in, and we're going to move the needle up 2 notches, just with that little clip thing. Stick it all back together again. And the pod filters is going on, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm booked in on the dyno for hopefully its last run on the 3rd of May. 3rd of May? Yeah, 3rd of May. Right. So I'm hoping at that point, everything is just going to be peachy. I've got the new exhaust to run it up on. I'm going to check and see how noisy it is before then, because I mean that's the main reason for doing that other exhaust. MSVA said there's a 99 decibel limit, which is, you know, it's a bit of an ask, especially when you're using aftermarket pipes or making your own and stuff like that. But I want to see what we can get it down to. Whatever it comes down to, however quiet I can get it, either with a dB killer or without a dB killer or whatever, I don't really care. That is how it is going to go for its MSVA check. Yeah, you'll do. So we've got the exhaust that I made that we can try on it. We've got the exhaust that I'm just finishing up now. We can, I'm not doing the whole velocity stacks thing. It's a little bit pointless. I did ask Matt if he could print me up. I did a CAD model and sent it over to him, but asked if he could print me some velocity stacks just so we can try. And that was more a curiosity thing than anything, if I'm honest. We wouldn't be running it just on velocity stacks, just because there's no filtration for the engine at all. So that would be a bit dumb. But I'm not really bothered if we've got them or not. Because like I say, that's not how it's ultimately going to be run. The exhaust that's on it has also got a dB killer in it. So we can try running it up with the dB killer, without the dB killer. There's like a removable plate blanky off bit on the end of the dB killer, so we can try taking that off and sticking it on and see what difference that makes. Is you right? You're supposed to be over that bit. What are you doing down there? You are supposed to be over that bit. Or are you? Yes. Maybe. No, you're not. You're supposed to be like that. Right, okay. Where was I? I've forgotten. Yeah, so it's got like this little removable, the dB killer, you've got the end cap, you've got a perforated tube, and then there's a bit that you can screw on over the end to block up the tube. So we can try taking that off and sticking that back on and see what difference that makes to the power curve and all that sort of stuff. And then I've also got the exhaust wrap, so we can try wrapping the dB killer up and see if that shuts it up. Speaking with Crispy, it's like if you've got a long pipe with a really long silencer on the end with loads of wadding and everything else in it, that's how come you can get like good power, but you can shut the bugger up. The shorter the can, obviously the less wadding, and if you just shove a restriction in the end, like a dB killer, apparently you just kill all the power. Now, power isn't something that the MSVA check for. They couldn't care how quick it is. That's not what they're looking for. So I don't care if we rock up there with the dB killer with the bung in the end, and exhaust wrap making horrible power and a lumpy power curve, as long as it's quiet enough to get through. That's all I care about for that day. And then whatever the best setup is, then we'll know. So there we go. So, you know, I'll be able to say, yeah, I'll be able to prove it all statistically with a dynograph. So you'll be able to see, and I'll measure the noise on each one as well. So you'll be able to see, you know, what the curve is and all that sort of stuff. And I think the idea is when it comes time to moving the bike onto its new owner, you know, whoever's going to win it, I'll just let them pick what they want on it, and that's what I'll put on it, and they can have all the rest of the stuff, and just, you know, that way if they do want to change it later on, then they can do. But at least you'll know, all right, the fueling's okay, and this is the power curve, and this is the peak power, and this is how noisy it is, and everything else. If you live out in the boonies, you won't give a monkeys about how noisy it is. But, you know, if you've got a bit of a cobby neighbour, then you might. Right, are you going to work? Or are you just going to bounce off again? Ah, look! That'll do, that'll do. Right. I do want to make a plinth up for this. Yeah, there's that stupid little bit of tin that sits on here. But what I quite want to do is to make something that mounts off there, probably mounts off there. It might even come off the back here as well, I don't know. Or we could go into that hole, I suppose. But I want a proper plinth on here with a fence on it that I can, you know, I can do stuff for. Cutting up exhaust tube, yes, you can do it with a cable tie and marking it off and everything else, but this would just take all the guesswork out of it. So he is coming, and that would make this little bandsaw an awful lot more user-friendly and accurate, because he does cut quite straight, but he needs a proper plinth. Right, what's next? Right, you're in a bit of a state, aren't you? Right, so other stuff that's going on. Once I get the exhaust done, we'll get the carbs all built up so we're dyno ready, then I'm happy enough with that. Probably the next thing I'll need to sort out is going to be the lock stops for the steering, because they is definitely going to be looking for some of that. And basically I'll chop the other ones off. Oh, hello. Excuse me a second. Right, sorry about that. That was Bernard. Bernard's coming to see me tomorrow. Basically, he's got himself one of these, and he's in the process of restoring it, the same as I did. And he wants to borrow that, which is my big book of words, which is fine. So he's going to rock up tomorrow. We can have a bit of a yap, and he can take it away with it and just send it back when he's done. That'd be fine. I'm hoping he takes better care of the one that he's doing up than I have of this one. I'll need to give it a tidy before he gets here. So what was I saying? I can't remember where I was. Oh yeah, right, so exhaust is getting welded up. That's the next job after this. Then I'm going to set all the carbs up, put the pod filters on, blah blah blah, get it all basically ready for the dyno. We'll fire it up and we'll give it a check and this, that and the other. I'll get the dB meter out, wheel it outside and see how noisy he is on that exhaust, and you know what the dB killer does, and if I pack it, what goes on there, all that sort of stuff. And then it's going to be lock stops. So the bike did have lock stops on it, and the little knobby bits is still on the bottom yoke. If I remember, I'll get a picture and show you. The only trouble is where I did my frame, I cut all the rest of it off. So I need to put them on again, because Mr. MSVA is definitely going to want to have some of that going on. So this swap gets everywhere. So yeah, that's going to be the next one. I think I know how to do it. The only trouble is where it needs to be is where the lower bearing race is going to sit. So I've got a sneaky plan, and apart from that, I mean, you're not really going to see it. It's all going to be tucked up in the frame and powder coated the same colour and everything else. But it has to be there, it has to function, blah-de-blah-de-blah, so he's getting one of them. The reason I'm doing that now is it involves welding, and I don't want to be sticking loads of stuff on the bike and then covering it in weld spatter, so that's why he's happening next. After that, I'm hoping those bloody switches are going to get here, because what I really want to be doing is wiring up things like the indicators and, you know, the tail light and the brake light and the number plate lights and all that sort of stuff. It's only going to be mocked up in that blue wire that I've got, but what it means is I can sort my cable runs out. I know how long roughly things need to be, and I can sort of plan out how things are going to be. And it will be going to MSVA with that you know, makeshift loom on it. It's all going to be blue. You ain't going to know which wire does what. That's why I've got a labelling machine. But there we go. I need to get it sorted as much as I can do anyway. But it's just if there are any funnies going on or any extra brackets or cable tidies or earthing points, all that sort of stuff, now is the time that I need to be sticking them on, basically. Right, let me get Henry on the go. We'll have a bit of a spritz up and then we'll carry on yapping. And I'll tell you what I'm doing with the seat. Right, I've either got an oily fingerprint on my lens or there's something funny going on, but everything in this, it just looks washed out and white. Was that any better? Is that better? Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, we go with that one then. Right, so seat. I'm not making it out of metal. I'm not making it out of metal. I've been cocking about with Sherman, the English wheel, and I'm getting quite good at putting curves into stuff and smoothing things out and making it bend where I want it to and everything else. The trouble that I've got is like sharp transitions, or transitions from like a nice roundy bit to a dead flat bit to a hump to another straight bit in a very short space of time. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I've been Googling loads of stuff. I need to make a shrinking stump, basically. That's one of the things that I need. That would help an awful lot. You can only do so much with a leather bag and an English wheel. There's other stuff that you need. I've got a short throat shrinker stretcher and he works an absolute treat. But I really need a deep one. So I might be making one of them as well, and I'll just use the jaws out of that one and stick them in the other one. I don't know, I need to, you know, play basically. So anyway, there's a few tools and stuff that I'm missing as far as being able to shape sheet metal like proper, like a planishing hammer. I've got that air chisel in the toolkit. If I made a stand, I could have a planishing hammer. Otherwise, I've just got like hammer and dollies in a vise basically. So shaping sheet metal is something that I really do want to get into. I want to be able to make my own tanks at some point. That's what I want to have a crack at doing. But to do that, I'm going to need, you know, various bits and pieces. There is a fella called Jeff something. He's in Liscard, but he does a 2-day course for 380 quid. And he walks you through everything you can do with the English wheel. You get to have a play and all that sort of stuff. I am going to go on that course at some point, but it's probably not going to be till after this bike's finished, because, you know, I need to keep tabs on what's going where. So anyway, seat is going to be made out of fiberglass, which I've done a seat out of fiberglass before, but I need to do this one as a split mould. I am blatantly nicking this idea off John Allen, because when he was down, he came down on his Bandit and he showed me how he did his, or how his seat arrangement is. I'm not sure if he made it or if he bought it and fitted it. I don't know, but I'm going that route. So the reason why I need to do a split mould though, which makes it a little bit more complicated, is because this is actually quite deep. So the hump and the seat as it comes up to there, and all the side bits and everything else is all going to be made out of one piece, right? However, to pop this out of a mould, given how deep this is going to be, I reckon that bit is going to be a complete pain. So I need to do a split mould. And I've been looking at how to do them and all that sort of stuff. I've been Googling the shiznick out of it. Andy from Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions, he sent me a link on what he watched to figure out how to do basket case and all that sort of stuff. So I've got some really good reference material. I just need to, well, I need to get some melamine, you know, like sort of stuff that kitchen cupboards are made out of. Basically chipboard with that hard not soft, that hard sort of plastic, well, melamine coating basically. So that is going to be its own little thing, and I'm probably going to leave that until last, if I'm honest, just because the longer I leave it, the more I get to Google stuff and, you know, come up with a plan of exactly how I'm going to do it. I've already got a load of fiberglass down there. I do need to get resin, I do need to get release agent, I do need to get gel coat. So pretty much all I've got is the glass. But that's how it's going to be done. Everything on this bike is custom, right? Everything. So once I've done all that and I'm happy with it and it's all good and peachy, whoever wins the bike is just going to get the mould as well. Because that way, if you dink it or, you know, scratch the shiznick out of it or drop it or whatever, at least you'll have the mould and you can make another one. Whereas if I make it out of metal, which I will be doing on the next bike, but if I make it out of metal, then that's you buggered, basically. So there you go. That's what's happening with the seat. I haven't got a bulb. I'm sure headlamp bulb, I reckon, I don't know. I'm sure the headlamp bulb has got 2 filaments, high beam and a low beam. I'm sure it has. So I reckon that one down there is a position light, which is peachy. Because if he is, I ain't got to sort anything else out. Where do you go? Yeah, it's just like 2 wires sticking there. Then there'll be the 3 on the back of that jobby. Right, that's okay. I was going through the MSVA thing and they were on about position lights. So one of the options was to have the lights come on with the ignition, because that way that's a position light. But we got one in there, so that's all good. Oh yeah, side stand switch. Somebody, I think I mentioned this in the last video when I was actually making the exhaust, I can't remember. I need to get a side stand switch sorted. And I've been looking about and I'm not really sure what to do. You can get like shorter ones or chubbier ones or slimmer ones or whatever, but I'm sure I heard somebody in the comments mention about where the bolt is actually the switch. I'm sure somebody did, but I can't find the comment. I've gone back having a look. I can't find the comment and I can't remember what bike it came off. So if you've got a bike, or if you was the fellow who commented that said, "Oh, just use one of them, that'll do it." If you could drop us a message and let us know what bike it comes off, so I can go and have a look. See, I'm not sure if I'll have to change what I've done, but I quite like the idea of just the bolt being a switch because it's less, and it means I haven't got to, you know, locate a bracket and all that other, you know, as clean as I can keep it. That's how I want to keep it. But if it was you, if you could shove a comment in this video and just let me know what the bike was, or send us, you know, if you can find one of the switches on eBay or something, just send us a link just so I can go and have a look see. That would be a massive, massive help. Covered that. Lock stops. I could show you what I want to do on lock stops, but it's going to be easier to do without the bloody headlight in the way. Right, I'll take the headlamp off. Right, so steering stops. On the Bandit, there was a thing that came down here. It looked horrible, so it left. But I need to sort. I've still got these little lugs here on the lower yoke. Right, so that's all peachy, and we can reuse them. However, if I turn the bars to here, at this point, the back of my top yoke touches the frame, right? Thing is, this has gone past, well, it's pretty much in line with the centre point of the steering stop. You probably can't see from that way. Let me go that way. So that's like the middle front of the tube. Yeah, and this has gone beyond it. So I can't really have anything that comes out and engages in here, which means I've got to do something on the sides. Thing is, in here, there is the bottom bearing race for your headstock bearings. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking that diameter across there, and I'll machine up essentially a ring that goes around this, where it's got a stop sticking out from here, because there is quite a gap from there to there. What's that? From the bit that will contact to there, it's like 15 mil. So I can have a ring that comes around here with like a little peg that sticks out on either side, and I can decide obviously where I want that peg. I'll just turn it to like the stop there, and then, you know, give it a little bit of daylight, like 4mm or something like that. I'll mark it off here as to where that little leg needs to be, and then I can weld it across the top and down the sides. It means, I don't want to weld onto this face of this ring purely because there's that bearing racing there, and when you weld stuff it shrinks up, so that could be bad. Whereas if I'm doing it across the top here, then that's not really going to affect it, and there will only be a very short run of weld down the side. It might nip it up a little bit, but essentially you're pressing these in anyway, so that'll be fine. So that's what I'm doing there. I don't think that's going to be a biggie. I just need to measure what that is and crack on and get it done. So the other stuff is just noddy stuff. I'm sure that's a position light. It's got to be, in it. I ain't going to light up anything, it's just going to let you see it. So anyway, the other stuff is just noddy stuff. So I've still got some of these, where are we? These little earth tags. So again, like with all the switch gear at the front, anything I'm running, essentially it earths out to the frame, so I just have one wire going back to the M unit. So I've still got a few of these machined up and whatnot. I just need to decide where I'm going to stick them, but in order to do that I need to get everything hooked up. And they are just going to get tacked on for now, and then when we come to like having the engine out and doing all the final welding and all that sort of stuff, then that's when they'll get sorted properly, sort of thing. But then, it's just noddy little things like, all right, where's the horn going to live? What cable tidies am I going to need? Why can't I find the hole to put this bolt in? Hang on, there we are. Yes. Yeah, so just little noddy bits and pieces like that. When the switch gear finally gets here, the other thing that I need to change is this reservoir mount. He was just done and stuck on, basically. And to be fair, it was a little bit of practice on the mill because I was new to it all then. However, it is big and chunky and it don't need to be, and it needs to change. Partly because there is no room there to put another set of switches. So he needs skinning up to about half depth, I reckon. But until we actually get the switches, I can't offer them up and see, sort of quite where we are or anything. So that's going to need to happen. It's just little bits and bobs like that, really. What I really want to be getting on with is getting the seat sorted, because that is going to complete the look of the bike. And then I also want to get on with the engine rebuild. I don't think the engine rebuild is actually going to be that hard. I don't think it's going to take that long. But all the cases need to be split, dressed up and painted. And, that is a bit that is probably going to take quite a while, I'm guessing. I don't really know. But, it needs to be done and done nicely. And whilst I'm doing that, Jack can have stuff and start powder coating it, basically, because everything will be done. Other little noddy stuff is just like heel guards, silly little things like that, basically. There is a few little bits and bobs, and obviously they all take time. But here and now, I can't really think of many little bits and bobs that's needed. Every time I look at it, I think of something else. So that is it, really, as far as an update goes. Oh, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. I just need some tape now. Yeah, so that's it as far as an update goes. Work is getting done. It is. I'm just conscious that, obviously because we're now doing it as a bit of a giveaway and whatnot, I'm just really conscious that I need to show progress on this every single week and let you know what's coming and blah-de-blah-de-blah. If it was just a project I was doing for myself, I wouldn't really give a monkeys. It takes as long as it takes. But, we're getting the nicer weather and stuff. I really want this to be in the hands of someone that can enjoy it this year. Because to be fair, I'm not putting a hugger on it. I'm not. I'm definitely going for form over function on that one. But when you think about it, this is going to have pod filters. And there's a shock there as well. And there's a back wheel rotating that way, chucking everything forward. You can see what I mean. It's, you know, is it a fair weather bike? Yeah, probably. But I want it to look the part. I want it to look how I imagined it would when I first started. Future ones are probably going to be a little bit more practical. But for this one, you know, I really want it to look nice. So it's not having any of that. And there's all these people keep chipping in going, oh, make one of these and make one of that and do some of this. I get you, I do, and thank you very much for chipping in and throwing ideas in. But at the end of the day, I am going to build the bike that I want to see. You know, the one that I imagined in the first place. And, you know, someone's going to win it essentially for a tenner. So if you're only paying £10 for an entire bike, you can't really complain if it's not exactly as you wanted it to be. That's my line of thinking anyway. The front mudguard, I'm still chewing away with ideas and whatnot. However, there's Matt Marshall-Price. I mean, he was going to be doing these trumpets for me, but, you know, we haven't gotten to that bit yet. He apparently has got a Harley front fender. I think he's not using it, or it's surplus to needs or whatever. But they're quite, I was going to say good then, they're quite basic in that it bolts on through the sides, if that makes sense. Now on these forks, I haven't got anywhere to mount a mudguard. It's going to have to clamp around the lower fork leg. So that actually kind of makes sense. And I've got a design which I've sketched out. I haven't counted anything up, I haven't measured anything up, but I think it'll work. But I need to get that front mudguard off him just so I can start mocking things up and measuring stuff and seeing actually, is it going to work or not? Is it going to work? Again, I want it really, really simple. I do want that to be, yeah, it's got to look good, but it's also got to keep crap off all my nicely painted engine and out the oil cooler and all that stuff, because the oil cooler on the other one is just battered. I know a mudguard's not going to save it all, but it could save some of it. So that's in the pipeline as well. But really, that is the fabrication that is left. There ain't much. There ain't much. I am proper looking forward to Dyno Day. I reckon that's going to be the last time that we have to go down there for this bike. I've got lots of plans for other bikes, and they will all be going to Crispy. But that's it as far as fabrication goes. And then really it is a case of engine out, repaint it, rebuild it, get it all lovely. And in the meanwhile, all the rest of it will get coloured in. I found somebody else who's going to be doing my paintwork as well. There's a fella at work who's no longer at work. He's disappeared and he's doing his own thing now. But him and his dad, he's you know, they've been into cars and all that sort of stuff for ages. And his dad has done like show-winning paint jobs, proper good ones. This is going to be dead basic, but it's all going to be going off to him to do. So I'm expecting lovely things out of that when it gets done. But what he'll be doing is the tank, the seat unit, the front mudguard, and that is pretty much it as far as paintwork goes. All the rest of it is going to get powder coated or a brushed finish, or, you know, whatever it is that I do. So I ain't going to have much to colour in, but I'm hoping when it comes back it's going to look great. So there you go, that's your update. Massive, massive, massive thank you to everybody who's been chipping in. The names have been coming up here in the corner. We have had a couple of new ones and whatnot. One of those people is going to be winning the bike, basically for a tenner. But you know, it's supporting the build, and it's going to be going to somebody who watches the channel rather than just some random Joe Public that buys it off eBay. At the end of the day, it is still a Bandit 6. It's never going to set the world alight, but it's going to be a very, very nice one, and I hope the new owner is going to be dead chuffed with it. So, you know, huge thanks to these people. It really is appreciated, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you're well and staying safe. We'll see you on the next one. Laters!